Hello guys, I'm recording a video today and this time I'm going to be making a tier list. So the idea of the tier list today is that I sent like a control image, this one, you know, not that good looking, but that's besides the point. And then I sent it through a bunch of apps, um, websites, um, and large language models to see which one could make me most convincingly look like a woman. And so I won't have a concrete, um, so what I'm looking for here, concrete criteria of how I'm rating it, just a mix of how easy it was to get, like the process of actually getting the image, how easy, no, not how easy, but how well I transitioned into looking like a female or a woman. I don't want to sound like an incel. And how con how hot I look as a woman. So the of course the control image is over here. We have our tier list, and then if I have to, I will go through all of them over here. Hopefully I can get this to work. No, it does not want to work. Give me a sec. Um, there. Okay. No, now it's working. And then I labeled all of them so that I could remember them much more easily. And I think I usually ask two images, but some of them only have one because they weren't the best. But that's not a problem. So off we go, I guess. First one, we have this. I'll actually look for it. Here. Uh, not the best. Not the best. This one was from a website called Kaze AI, and it it was very restrictive. They had templates that we were allowed to use, and I think I was just scrolling through the after, of course, typing down sex change filter. It was a gender flip. This one looks really surreal, a bit scary actually. I'll give it props for keeping the main theme of it. As you can see, a lot of the details from the test image was, you know, it was preserved well. The only change being the face, which is what we're looking for here. How it transitions me to a woman, not just replaces me with what it thinks I would look like as a woman. It still has to have those core things in the image, like this door, this background, the jacket I'm wearing. But as we can see with the hair, I mean, I know some people with hair like that, but that does not look convincing. It looks odd and eerie. Sorry for not having a higher quality image, but you can see it has this weird Chinese Chinese TikTok or short form content style filter. Not really style, but it gives off the same vibes of like a billion filters being placed on top. And that comes the objective part, which is, do I look attractive? And you know what? Everyone looks attractive, I guess, except for me, but I guess I'm allowed to say I look ugly because it's myself, and hopefully I don't offend anyone other than myself, which I'm not offended. So we will be placing it in I can see it, because honestly, a decent start. Now this one's next. We'll look for it. Give me a second. Nope. Oh, hopefully I can find it. There it is. Yes, this one's from Leonardo AI. And the thing with Leonardo AI is that it had a bunch of options about it that were nice. This is the first of the few images where we actually, in the process of obtaining it, um, we were able to submit other images so we could tell the process how we wanted, or like a reference of how a woman, or I want to refrain from using female, a woman should look. And it's got preservation of detail pretty decent compared to some of the others we'll be seeing later. First off, it hallucinated most of the details in the background, like lighting. And of course, luckily, and as we'll see later, the door is still closed. It hallucinated what this was in the background, but I think we can overlook that fact. It also made this side a bit, extended, but that's not that important for this case. But now we go to the actual transformation, which, disregarding the face for now, the hair alone is already pretty good. My only problem with it is that something about the hair feels flat, you know? It The closest I could say is if you watched one of those female hair conditioning commercials, like maybe off the top of my head, Aussie, or like, honestly, I'm not gonna talk about stuff I don't know, but like female hair commercials in general. And then they have that one shot where like they show the creases on women's hair so that they can like show how glossy it looks. In this case, it's like looking at that glossy, but like in orthographic view. So something about it just feels flat. Now onto the actual face itself. Um, I guess it's right. Uh, Let me validate with the test image. It failed to keep my jawline, which I guess is a good thing. My jawline is horrible. It gave me an actual jaw, I guess. The lips, Instagram style filler look, something you'd see with one of those, what people would like to say Instagram baddies. I personally don't use social media, but I read on Reddit that being the term usually used and referred to them. Our eyebrows are fleek. Our eyes, it doesn't show, I don't think it shows well on the test image, but I actually have brown eyes, and I think that it preserved it well. Now, the very obvious thing that you can tell it took a lot of from the reference images I sent it, which are like, I think, 6 images where I just typed in Pinterest, TikTok, and Instagram, and maybe a couple more websites, which, no, not websites, but social media applications, where I just typed the word hot women or cute women and then just took a screenshot. You can see that it gave me freckles, but like the kind that looks like you have applied it with makeup, not actually natural. Something like one of those Californian half, I wouldn't say half, but like one-fourth Latina short form content makers would. The closest I can think of would be something like Michaela Campino or Charlie D'Amelio, like that. Those sometimes where they have um freckles. Yeah, off the top of my tongue, yes, freckles. It feels like that. But I'll stop yapping for now, and I will send it to. Oh, that was wrong. Rule 63. From 1 to 5, the looks would be like 4 out of 5, but then again, I'm not a good judge of looks. The process for getting it though would be somewhere like um 4 out of 5 also. It was really simple. Hallucination wise, like how much detail it preserved, it would be also a 4 out of 5 because 5 out of 5 would basically be what I think what the first image was. But so far, like really solid. That's like if this was using that one pentagon stat chart that you'd see in like JoJo, it would be almost a full pentagon. But of course, we can't have anything perfect in this life. Not even points. Anyways, next one will be this one. Give me a second while I try looking for it. Yes, this one. Leonardo AI. This was the first one. The one that we just saw earlier was a second. So I actually asked two from Leonardo AI. And in this one, you can start seeing the cracks. The wall mounts, of course, change. Now they're hanging jackets, but it's not obvious. But in the control image, they're hanging hats, and of course, as you can see, it hallucinated a light switch at the right side wall, and then it of course hallucinated the door being obscenely big. Like, look at how wide that thing is compared to like the previous images we've looked at. This one though, um, it it looks it looks more like Gal Gadot if she was whiter. Our hair is still decent, but like again, you get that hair commercial advertisement feel. It feels less flat though, but I also have like it's personal bias, but I also don't like it. Not like it is not the word term I would use. I just like I would prefer not to see that like this bridge up here where your hair just parts. That's just a personal problem. The eyebrows are still pretty fleek, and the lips look a bit more bigger. The nose also looks bigger. I think what they did with the eyes, the eyelashes specifically, the eyes, I think I can get over, but the eyelashes, it it looks overdone. And as for the jacket, it it retained the color well compared to the first Leonardo, so second Leonardo attempt, but it completely lost the vintage sign. And I guess I can look over that. I guess you could, if you wanted to, you could just replace it with something else. I mean, no one's really gonna look at the jacket. But so far, this one's also really great, but it's not as convincing as the second attempt, just because something about the face just seems lifeless. It just seems lifeless. So, in terms of process, I would give it a 4 out of 5, same with the first one. In terms of out like looks, how hot it is, I would say like 3.7. In terms of how well it preserved everything, I would give it something like a 3 flat. It it's not as bad as others, we'll see later, but it did not preserve image as well. Now on for this one. Let's go to that one. I can find it quickly. Oh, wait, that wasn't one. This one, yes, this one's really, really unsettling, and we will I will be diving into it. Okay, so this one's from a website called media.io, and first off, the vintage, much higher on the chest now. I do not remember showing any part of my body below like the man boob section. This would be like abdomen, but not abdomen, but where your six packs would be. And I don't remember showing that much. Um, it's a bit weird that it shows like where the seam for the sleeves, like the shoulders are, is over here, even though the shoulder would probably be over here, so probably should be up there. It hallucinated clothes over here, a light switch over there, and another thing that I've noticed is it hallucinated a double door. You can see the on the door frame. This door has hinges on one side opening to that side, and it has a door opening to our direction or my direction in this case, and then but oddly enough, it also has hinges on the part that's facing us, meaning the door is opening and then colliding with the door frame, which I think is weird. And then another thing I can also notice is that it has a cloth cloth rack stuck directly to the door, and I don't know where that's closing into, but it's passing the door frame, and I just don't think that's realistic at all. Okay, now back onto more face-related things. As for Media.io, this one was also not a large language model, so it was more similar to the Kaze.ai, where it was just a filter I could use. It was just presets. I wasn't able to tweak finer details. Um, Another problem I have with this one is that although it preserves my face more, which I would actually not in the I would actually add an entire point into the preservation scale. but for the beauty scale, this one would have to go in number 2 for sure. And one last problem I have with this is that it has the same weird like hair issues it has where it has this it looks like you have morning you have bedhead basically, and that hair is coming from behind the jacket, the hoodie, while there's also hair coming in from the front, and it's just not believable in the slightest. This one will be going in the unconvincing because with this one you can see it transform the room. This one just gave me hair and like hallucinated a bunch of stuff, like really horrible. Next one is this one, which, ooh, um, I showed this to a test audience at first, and they thought it was hecka weird. So this one is using a filter from CapCut, and like just disclaimer, those early CapCut filters with the presets are like really horrible when I tried some of them. And it was either they had a preset on how to shape your body, which I know sounds weird, but like you would either just get one that would turn you into a slender woman or just turn you into a slender version of yourself but like with breasts, which does not fit the bill. It preserves the color of the jacket well, but the vintage part, actually, let me verify. The vintage part is fine. It tried taking the little text below the vintage too. It preserved a lot of the original images background if we're discounting the hat rack I have at the back, but also just made like a really weird resolution where everything felt more like a square. In this case, this one just it feels like it's in forgot if it's landscape mode or portrait. I believe this is portrait, but yeah, everything else is in landscape mode. No, not landscape. It's like a 1-to-1 in terms of its height and length, and this one's just like doom scroll scale. My eyes look lifeless and scary. My neck looks overly long. Something feels off with my hair. It's too wavy, but not at the same time. The shadows are eating my ear. It hallucinated me having piercings, and it I get this feeling that it got my head and shrunk it. Yeah, shrunken head syndrome. So in terms of process, this thing is probably higher than this one because it was from an app. In terms of looks, this one's got to be worse. In terms of hallucination, this one's got to be better. But overall, because of the looks, actually, no, I think it's going to stay there. As much as it's creepy, it did not hallucinate a bunch of new stuff. Now, with this one's also horrible. Let's just go through the images and see if I can find it. Nope, 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 nope. There. This is what I was saying. One of the filters, literally, like I tested it out with a bunch of other images, and all it did was it got a scan of my face and replaced the entire body. It has I'm not sure if it works off a system or algorithm, but it switched my entire body with a woman's pre-made body because I tried testing others and it gave it it usually gave it a body like body build similar to this with like the clothes style too. So you can guess where it was going. It feels because of the scale, my head feels less shrunken, but also again, like if you look at the piercings, I don't think that ring goes in the ear actually. The hair again looks funky. It's like even worse than the previous ones. It feels really flat, like it actually feels like something I would just Photoshop to a male's body. As for the rest of it, the skin looks too flat. It it feels like one of those dry crayons that you use and you color something with it. And then as much as you want to try and blend the colors, what they do instead is they just stack on top of each other and you get messy results. That's what this is. So I don't actually want to go deeper into this. This one's really bad, but it's not as bad as hallucinating, so I will keep that there. Next one is this. Let's look for it. Nope, nope. Yes, this one. This one is from Grok. Actually, now we're back in the realm of large language models. I was able to tweak and provide reference images for most of the, actually all of the large language model versions. So I could very quickly tweak it out. And Grok, compared to the other large language models, work really well. Not as well as, I mean, Leonardo AI is not exactly a large language model, but the interface was similar to the other large language models, and you were able to upload a bunch of images at the same time. The same thing happened with Grok, but wait, no, that was AI, ChatGPT. Um, Grok is really like accepting of it. He just does. He doesn't question much. One problem he did have in comparison with the others, no, not in comparison, all of them had the same problem, was they started too quickly. I would give them the reference images and I would tell them to wait until I gave them the instructions on what to do after with the reference images, and they just jumped the gun and immediately started generating, which was annoying because they would also all give the same like apologies that like the apology was really polite, but it was so annoying having to read it. But okay, back to the image itself. First off, it hallucinated my vintage jacket off, and you will see a pattern with some of the large language models and hallucinating the jacket off. But yeah, it made me a brunette, which I think is cool. Excuse that. It made me a brunette. I know the current Rule 63 are the highest one, made me a blondie, and the rest are like I have black hair, raven black hair. Uh, this one, so the skin looks more believable. It didn't go heavy um with the freckles. You can still see patches of it, but it's less aggressive and it looks more believable. It also did something that the others haven't, which is it gave me a smile and then gave me dimples, which is I think interesting. It also gave me a necklace, which I remember I wasn't wearing one. The hair is great. It feels a bit flat near the top, but the lengths of it, the sides, looks great. The eyebrows, the they they're fine, but they have this odd feeling to them. They look like feral fluid. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but yeah, it reminds me of that and just doesn't look as believable. My forehead looks really big though, but I guess that's just the control image. So, for processes, I would say 4 out of 5. My biggest problem would be that it jumped the gun too early. For hotness, I would probably say 4 out of 5. We have not gotten anything past 4 so far. As for hallucination, I will. I no, I think I can overlook the hallucination. Yeah, I can overlook the hallucination because it's still better than this. So far, the best at preserving details have not done well in actually transforming me. So far, the only good preserving details and then transform would be the background for this one, background for Rule 63, this one, and then the jacket color for this one. But it did not preserve vintage, so that's also a problem. As for this one will be next. Let me see. Uh, nope, 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 nope. Yes, this should be the one. This one's from ChatGPT, and boy, what a doozy. ChatGPT was the hardest to work with. First off, it would not, and it just told me it was not allowed to, um, impose what it believed or assumed would be a female or a male body or image based off of traits, because I just, uh, in Twitter words, it would be liberal, I guess, like the woke line people, but I think saying woke and liberal is weird. But yeah, that's why I'll label it for now. This one made me made me wear blue, and you'll see the same pattern with other large language models. It just completely the reference images I sent it override the base image a lot, and with this one you can't even tell where the um control image was. The background's the only thing that I could like say is closely related, but even that has changed a lot. And it's so far removed that I would just label this as its own thing. And also another problem I had with ChatGPT is it did the same thing where it jumped the gun immediately. And I had to argue back with it what I was trying to do because it just didn't want to understand. And then, unlike the other ones, it had this weird limit where I could only send images 3 times in a row. So I had like first the control image and then 2 reference images, and then I have to send another message with 2 images with 3 images attached to it, which is just a pain in the butt. Yeah, I'm lazy, so who cares? But just because of the process and the hallucination and the preservation is like 0.3 out of 5. The looks would probably be the only good thing about it, which is like because everything else is so sour, I'd say like 3.8 out of 5. The process, like 2. It wasn't that, I mean, I explained it as like a really horrible thing, but it's not that bad. But I'd say it's better than that one. Yep. Now this one next. Let me look for it. Yes, this one. Grok 1. I may have mistitled some of these, but this was also from Grok. And in this one, you can see the similarities. It did give me a different angle though. It hallucinated the background real differently. Like it it almost thought of it as taking a picture from a different angle. Like let's say it imagined the image was taken maybe a bit more to the left with the door and the corner of the wall from the control image being more of the background instead of the door, the wall, and then the wall rack, whatever that may be. Its hair is basically the same as like I would rate it the same as the previous one, the previous graph. Its eyes, there's something about it. It looks more like coffee, and it has this weird, like I don't know if I can tell, but like looking at it unzoomed, the eyes look more like a cat, where it's more oblong, elongated, and not just like flat circle or a proper circle. Um, the hair, the eyebrows look much better. Doesn't look like ferrofluid. The hair look also better, and I guess it's a plus that the white parting line, the hairline at the top, is also less long. Doesn't run the full length of it, like curves and then gets hidden. But yeah, I wasn't wearing a polo shirt. It's hallucinating that again. It also blurred the background, which that would mean that it also hallucinated a filter on it, which would be like background filters, which again, we'll have to knock down a few points for that. So as for preservation, no good. Looks, I would probably say looks. Yeah, there, looks wise. Preservation wise, it would be worse because the added layer of like blurring the background. But in terms of working with it, because it's Grok, I have to say I put it up here. There. Excuse me, I just burped. The next one would be this, which just just from looking at like the small image version of it, you can tell it probably hallucinated a billion Chinese filters on my face. Let me look for it. Um, Also, a quick intermission. If I find out that I was doing this without like audio the entire time, I'm gonna flip. I'm just gonna record myself afterwards. Huh, ChatGPT 2. Yep, this should be it. Um, First off, the freckles are back and now with blush, like really aggressive. I don't know why it's hallucinating the shoulder thing. I remember that I sent 6 reference images, but only one of them actually had like a part of their shoulder out, and it could not have been that strong, ChatGPT. It could not have been that strong. Anyways, it's if we look at the eyes, which is one of my problems with this, it's hallucinating like light bouncing off your eyes, like how you would if you were outside, like under a shaded tree and you were taking a picture, and like the little rays from the openings of the tree like shine down. But this is supposedly like I guess you took this in picture inside a bedroom, and I don't know why you would have. Let me count that. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Eight sources of light bouncing off your eyes. And of course, it has the same problem of the background hallucination. The hair. I actually don't have a problem with the hair. It looks fine. The only problem is why is like the ends so split up? But that's just a me problem. Um, just not me in general. I'd say it's even worse because of like the filter feel of it. Because just like looking at it from this, you can feel the imperfection of the skin here. This one almost feels like an anime drawing, one of those like realistic AI anime drawings. And I don't vibe with those. Next is this one. This one is not the best, but it is dang original compared to the rest. And if I can find it, here it is. It's by Gemini. You can tell because of the watermark at the bottom, but oh my gosh, this one has like out of the large language models, this one probably has the best uh preservation. Yeah, that's what I'm. Look at the hat. Look at the wall. I mean, it's imagine the door smaller, door frame, and imagine this weird thing on the wall, where the wall like makes a sharp 90-degree turn, but the jacket, the undershirt, the neck, all great. The head is weird. It has, I mean, let me think. Let me think of a way to describe it. It the head doesn't feel right. The head feels much more big, and it feels like it got photoshopped in. It did preserve it preserved much better than the rest. My face shape, my head shape, yes, has my jaws, has my big lips, which is not proud of that. My nose, it preserved well. Like it's got that Asian really wide flat nose. Again, I don't know what it's doing with the eyelashes. That's a bit weird. The the eyebrows look like well, it's not mascara. I'm not good with makeup. Sorry for not knowing, but one of those like brushes you use to make yourself look like you have lusher eyebrows than you would actually have. This one, I don't know why, but makes it feels a bit like who's the celebrity thinking of? It feels a bit like Kanye West's wife. Kim Kardashian, yes, Kim Kardashian, but like really, really gimped. As for the process, this was the first large language model I tested it on. Was not, I mean, was easier than ChatGPT. Was not um easy though compared to Grok. It preserves so much detail that I actually put it up in WoW, and it passes just enough with the woman vibes and the hot-ish vibes that someone might still find as attractive, but mostly that actually made me look more like a woman instead of just transforming like a transformer or like yeah. Uh, Next one, another Gemini. That is look for it. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, where is it? This one. This one, much more crisp. It's also by Gemini. This is the second attempt. The hairstyle is the same. I did not give it any like female hairstyles like this. The hairstyles were not this, but it just hallucinated the same hairstyle. So I guess that's just a data training thing. It, funnily enough, it understood what the rest of the jacket was supposed to be. It hallucinated it being Nike though, but like that's really impressive. And it the head doesn't look out of proportion, which is a nice thing. It did hallucinate the background though, but compared to the others, I'd actually say, even if it's not attractive, higher. Process, like 4 point, not 4.2. I give it a 3.9 out of 5. The result would be higher than that one. I would say transformation wise, it would be somewhere around like 4.3 out of 5.
And as for preservation, I'd give it like a 3.8. Did not preserve that well. It did hallucinate some stuff, but it was able to at least like try on his own. I'm impressed that I was able to guess some of the details about it. But we have a few more. That's three, six, seven, and we'll go to, let's see, what's this? Oh yeah, Copilot. Copilot is chopped, man. I was talking to Copilot and I gave it like 4 tries, even though I only uploaded I believe two, yeah. But oh my gosh, bobblehead syndrome, man. It it got the super dry really great though, like much better than the Gemini. But just something about the head, man. I look like a caricature. That's what I'm looking for. I look like a caricature. I will give it props for giving me the facial deformities or imperfections as opposed to all of the perfections and cleaning done by the other filters. As for processes, this one was also quick. I'd actually say it was much more easy, but maybe that's because I didn't like bother tweaking it. So as for WoW, I would put it at WoW. Looks wise, not good. Processes wise, good. The only reason it's up here is because of the hallucination. It hallucinated things properly. Like, if you're gonna hallucinate something, have the details to back that hallucination up and make it like convincing. That's why it's over here. Also, just because of like the great mix, I'd actually put that up there, even though it's not my like type in terms of attractiveness. Just the output was so great. Now it's next this one. Um, let me look for it. Nope. No. Here. This one's Grok number 3, and quite the departure from the previous attempts. Um, First off, where are my clothes? Second off, two doors, blur. Um, Eyes look a bit derpy, like 1,000 yards there. And if you look closer into the eyes, that's not a circle. That's more like a star. Again with the freckles and the light blush, the not my jawline shape, my I wouldn't say absurd, but overpronounced collarbones. Something about the hair up here where the forehead and hair mix. The eyebrows look a bit funky. I don't know why, but it's giving me a vibe of like, hmm, let me try to think. I don't play Dual Archive, but I feel like I've seen these eyebrows from one of the characters, I think before. But it did not hallucinate me having piercings. Did not hallucinate much crazy things, but this is actually worse, and I'd probably put it lower in the I can see it, just because it hallucinates so much details away from me. Like it deviated so much onto the next one, and of course, yeah, it's Grok, so the same difficulty was encountered making and getting that result. This one, Grok number 4, you can tell its similarities with the Grok number 3 we just went through. Different angle altogether, not like front. It's like a bit angled over there. Black shirt, again, wears most of my clothes. It took the Asian away from Asian and made me European, but I guess most of these end up like that. The hair, it's fine. Like the same criticisms I would use from Grok number 3, result number 3, with this. Also, not my nose at all. My nose is worse, like chopped. So I would put it down here in the I can see it. I wouldn't say it's unconvincing because unconvincing is just its own other level. Actually, I may no. I think I'll keep that up there. As for this one next, let me look for it. Hmm. Here, this one is also Kaze AI. At first, I thought this was CapCut, but can't get any worse than CapCut. It made me look. This is gonna sound racist, but a mocha skin-colored African person. The vintage, I guess, it's hallucinating it well too, but the background kept details nice, mostly isolated to the face, as I asked. Actually, no, Cause AI was not a large language model, so it was just template. It just scanned my face basically, which is the reason why the head has the bobblehead syndrome again. The hair funky, eyes lifeless, eyebrows. I don't know why, but the right side looks different compared to the left side, and that just. But I will give it props for preserving my jawline, even though my jawline is less sharp. I mean, preserving my nose, preserving my cheeks, my forehead, the general shape. Now it's not convincing. It's not convincing. I mean, actually, yeah, it's not convincing at all. But maybe that's just because I have that bias that I don't think African women seem that much more feminine than ma African men, and that might be racist, but make of that what you will. Let's go for the last three. Speedrun this. This one, Kaze AI 2, attempt number 2. First off, I'm gonna put this up at Rule 63, just because, and like talking with other people, this does look like an Asian mom who married a white husband, or like your mom's Asian, your dad's white. This is what I'd expect your mother to look like, and it's like really racially ambiguous in which kind of Asian, which I think is cool. Um, as for female features, because it looks like an Asian mom, I'm really driven to believe it does confuse me into thinking it's an Asian. It has some hallucinations in the background on the left there. The background is mostly well preserved though, and it also like this is the one time where it preserves everything well, but also makes me look like a woman. Might be the clothes, but yeah, I'd actually put it above the Kim Kardashian one. Now, I'm not gonna go back into it, but I'm just gonna put it over there because it's just the same thing. Also, only ChatGPT has this weird artifacts where if you look at it in the smaller version, they look like they're made of glitter. Just a thing I noticed. And as for the last one, this one, Face app. I went through two iterations of it, but the other two were just really, really chopped that I refused to show it. First off, this app only does faces. At preservation, it is the best. It basically kept most of my face. The only thing it did was like, and that's because it's the filter, but it gave me a smile. Oddly enough, these are where my dimples would be if I actually smiled too in real life. My eyes look funny though. Why is there lighting here and not in like the left eye? The head is the biggest problem. So I'm gonna have to drop that. What the fudge? Quite simple to use. It's not convincing. At I would say it's better than unconvincing, but it's not nowhere near. I can see it, but it does convince. It does preserve. I mean, all of the details. And I'm just rambling at this point. You guys probably aren't gonna watch this video, but maybe my friends will probably watch it. I'll watch it for sure when I'm bored and working at school on my games, which maybe in the future I'll make a video where I rant about my past while making uh 3D models and coding on like Unity and Blender and stuff. But for now, most of these things are just self-consumption. About the Crazy Man laughs at Rule 34, I still laugh at that on lunchtime with my friends, and I get pretty loud in the back of the cafeteria. But yeah, bye.